My earliest memories are filled with the clang of metal and the sting of pain. The sound of swords clashing was my lullaby, and the bruises and cuts were my constant companions. From a young age, I was thrust into a world where survival meant fighting, and fighting meant enduring pain. The training was relentless, a never-ending cycle of combat and recovery, pushing my body and mind to their limits. Thanos, the tyrant who called himself my father, saw to that. He was a figure of immense power and cruelty, ruling over us with an iron fist. His presence was a constant shadow over my life, a reminder of the pain and suffering that awaited me if I failed to meet his expectations. He was not a father in the traditional sense. He was a master, a dictator, and I was his pawn. He pitted me against Gamora, his other daughter, in a twisted game of survival. Our battles were not just for training, they were a test of our worthiness, a measure of who deserved to live another day. Each fight was a brutal contest, a desperate struggle to prove ourselves. Gamora was my constant rival, my benchmark, and my tormentor. She was everything I was not. Stronger, faster, and always one step ahead. Each loss meant another piece of me replaced with machinery, another scar etched onto my soul. Gamora always won. With every defeat, I lost a part of my humanity, replaced by cold, unfeeling metal. My body became a patchwork of flesh and machine, a testament to my failures. The physical pain was excruciating, but it was the emotional scars that cut the deepest. I felt like a monster, a creation of Thanos' twisted vision. She was faster, stronger, Thanos' favorite. Her victories were celebrated, while my defeats were met with scorn and punishment. Thanos' favoritism was a constant reminder of my inadequacy, fueling my resentment and jealousy. I longed for his approval, but it was always just out of reach, a tantalizing prize that I could never attain. Every victory fueled my resentment, turning my blood to ice and my heart to stone. The more I fought, the more I hated. Hated Thanos, hated Gamora, and hated myself. My anger became my driving force, pushing me to train harder, fight fiercer, and endure more pain. I became a warrior forged in the fires of my own rage, a weapon honed by my desire for vengeance. I craved power, not just to surpass Gamora, but to escape Thanos' grasp and carve my own path through the stars. But escape seemed impossible. The universe was vast, but Thanos' reach was even greater. I dreamed of freedom, of a life where I could make my own choices. But those dreams were always overshadowed by the reality of my situation. I was a prisoner, bound by chains of fear and obligation. Thanos' grip on my life was absolute. He controlled every aspect of my existence, from my training to my thoughts. His influence was inescapable, a constant reminder of my powerlessness. I was his creation, molded to serve his will, and any attempt to break free was met with swift and brutal retribution. He controlled my every move, twisting me into a weapon to be wielded against his enemies. I was not a person to him, I was a tool, a means to an end. My training was designed to strip away my humanity, to turn me into the perfect soldier. I learned to fight without mercy, to kill without hesitation, and to obey without question. I became his loyal lieutenant, his blade in the darkness, all the while nursing the burning desire for revenge. I would prove myself. I bided my time, waiting for the moment when I could turn the tables on him. My loyalty was a facade, a mask I wore to hide my true intentions. Every mission, every battle, brought me closer to my goal. I would make him pay for the pain he had inflicted on me. I would make him pay. The thought of revenge was my solace, my motivation. It was the fire that kept me going, the light that guided me through the darkness. I envisioned the day when I would stand over Thanos, victorious, and see the fear in his eyes. That day would come, and when it did, I would be ready. I would show them all. I would show Thanos that I was not his puppet, that I was more than the sum of my parts. I would show Gamora that I was her equal, if not her superior. And I would show the universe that I was a force to be reckoned with. My life was forged in pain, but it was that pain that made me strong. I would rise above it, and in doing so, I would become unstoppable. Ronan the Accuser, a name whispered in fear across the galaxy, a name that strikes terror. He became my ticket out, my chance to finally break free from Thanos' iron grip. When Ronan agreed to help me kill Thanos in exchange for the orb, I didn't hesitate for a second. I pledged my loyalty to him, becoming his second in command, his right hand. Our mission was simple: retrieve the orb, a weapon of unimaginable power and destruction. Ronan craved it to destroy Xander, a planet he loathed with every fiber of his being. I saw it as a means to an end, a way to my freedom. With Thanos out of the picture, I could finally claim my own destiny and future. Ronan was a ruthless master, demanding absolute obedience and punishing failure with swift brutality. But I thrived under his command, excelling in every task. I relished the thrill of the hunt, the satisfaction of crushing our enemies with precision. I became his most trusted warrior, his unwavering weapon of destruction and chaos. My blood ran cold when I received word that Gamora had betrayed Thanos. She had stolen the orb, choosing to defy our father and forge her own path. Fury coursed through me. How dare she? How dare she seek freedom while I remained shackled to Thanos' will? Ronan dispatched me to Xandar to hunt down Gamora and retrieve the orb. I welcomed the task. This wasn't just about the mission anymore. This was personal. I would bring Gamora back in chains and prove once and for all who was the stronger daughter. As I entered Xandar's atmosphere, I could almost taste victory. This time, Gamora wouldn't escape me. This time, I would be the one to deliver the killing blow. This time, I would have my revenge. Section 4. Caged Fury. The air was thick with the stench of despair, the walls echoing with the cries of the damned. This was no ordinary prison. It was a fortress of lost souls, a place where hope came to die. My quarry proved more elusive than I anticipated. Every lead I followed seemed to evaporate into thin air, leaving me with nothing but frustration and a burning desire for vengeance. Gamora had allied herself with a band of misfits, a self-proclaimed Star-Lord, a muscle-bound brute, a talking raccoon, and a walking tree. They were an odd assortment, each with their own quirks and peculiarities, yet somehow they functioned as a unit. They called themselves the Guardians of the Galaxy, a grandiose title for a ragtag group of outlaws. They fancied themselves heroes, but to me they were nothing more than a nuisance. The name made me scoff. Guardians? They were nothing but a band of thieves and mercenaries, hiding behind a facade of heroism. They were nothing but thieves and criminals, unworthy to even utter Gamora's name. Their so-called noble deeds were nothing more than a cover for their true intentions. I tracked them to the desolate prison world of Kiln, a forsaken place where the galaxy's most dangerous criminals were sent to rot. It was here that I would find Gamora and exact my revenge. There, amidst the squalor and violence, I confronted Gamora. The tension between us was palpable, years of rivalry and betrayal boiling to the surface. Our battle was fierce, fueled by years of rivalry and resentment. Each strike was a testament to our shared history, a dance of death that neither of us was willing to lose. But before I could strike the final blow, the Nova Corps intervened, apprehending us both. Their arrival was both a curse and a blessing, saving Gamora from my wrath, but also sealing my fate. Imprisonment was a humiliation, a stain on my honor. The cold, unyielding walls of my cell were a constant reminder of my failure. I was trapped, not just physically, but mentally, my thoughts consumed by rage and regret. I seethed in my cell, my rage a living thing within me. Every moment spent in that forsaken place only fueled my desire for vengeance. I could feel the anger coursing through my veins, a relentless force that refused to be tamed. I swore to escape, to hunt down Gamora and her pathetic allies, and to crush them all. My mind raced with plans and strategies, each more daring than the last. I would not be contained. I would break free and reclaim my honor. Nothing would stand in my way. My resolve was unbreakable, my determination unwavering. I would rise from the ashes of my defeat, stronger and more relentless than ever before. The galaxy would tremble at the mention of my name, and those who had wronged me would pay dearly for their transgressions. Section 5. A desperate gamble. Escape came in the form of an unlikely alliance. It was a moment of sheer desperation, where trust was a luxury we couldn't afford, yet we had no choice but to rely on each other. Gamora, desperate to keep the orb out of Ronan's hands, proposed a deal. Her eyes burned with a fierce determination, a resolve that mirrored my own. She was willing to risk everything, and so was I. She needed my help to break out of prison, and in return, she would lead me to Ronan. The plan was audacious, almost suicidal, but it was our only shot. We pored over the map, every detail scrutinized, every possible outcome considered. I knew it was a trap, but I agreed. The stakes were too high to back down. My mind raced with the possibilities, the risks, the inevitable betrayals. Yet I couldn't shake the feeling that this was the path I was meant to take. I needed to be close to Ronan, to strike when he least expected it. The shadows of my past loomed large, and the desire for revenge burned hotter than ever. I had to bide my time, to wait for the perfect moment. The prison break was chaotic, a whirlwind of laser blasts and explosions. The air was thick with smoke and the acrid smell of burning metal. Alarms blared, and the shouts of guards and inmates alike filled the corridors. We fought our way through hordes of guards and inmates, our makeshift team a study in dysfunction. Each of us had our own agenda, our own reasons for being there. But in that moment, we were united by a common goal. But somehow we made it. Against all odds, we emerged victorious, our spirits lifted by the taste of freedom. The sense of triumph was palpable, a fleeting moment of joy in the midst of our perilous journey. We escaped the kiln, our unlikely band of fugitives bound together by circumstance and desperation. The vastness of space stretched out before us, a daunting reminder of the challenges yet to come. As we fled into the vastness of space, I kept my true intentions hidden. The stars seemed to whisper secrets, and I knew that our journey was far from over. Each of us carried our own burdens, our own secrets. I would play along with Gamora's charade, but in the end, the orb would be mine. The game of deception had only just begun, and I was determined to come out on top, and so would my revenge. The path ahead was fraught with danger, but I was ready. Every step brought me closer to my goal, and I would stop at nothing to achieve it. The stakes were higher than ever, and failure was not an option. Along the way, we began to understand each other, to see beyond our differences. Bonds were formed in the crucible of adversity, and trust, though fragile, began to take root. As I gazed out into the endless expanse of space, I couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought us here. Each of us had our own scars, our own battles to fight, but together we were stronger. The road ahead was uncertain, but we were ready to face it. With the orb in our sights and Ronan in our crosshairs, we steeled ourselves for the challenges to come. This was our desperate gamble, and we were all in. As our ship hurtled through the stars, we knew that the real battle was just beginning. The stakes were higher than ever, and the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. But we were ready. We had to be. Together, we would face whatever came our way. Our desperate gamble had set us on a path of no return, but we were united in our resolve. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: we would fight and we would prevail.